All right, Talk Tickers listeners, welcome back. Today we're taking a deep dive into EPAM Systems Q3 2024 earnings call.
Fresh transcript.
Yep, we've got that.
And stock info, too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So let's get into it.
Yeah, this is one where they really smashed expectations this quarter.
Oh, yeah.
It wasn't just like, meeting revenue projections or something, but profitability is surging and they've got increased client engagement like across the board.
So what's driving this success?
Well, they've been very strategic.
Okay.
Laser focused on global talent and some really smart acquisitions.
Okay, so let's unpack that a bit,
Yes.
starting with the global talent strategy.
Yeah, they've got 4 major talent hubs.
4.
Yeah, and each one is kind of tailored to a specific strength, right? So you got Europe, tons of engineering excellence there, especially in like automotive and industrial software.
Right, makes sense.
Then India, which is just exploding with mobile-first development and a talent pool that's growing so fast.
In Latin America, right. I know they've been making some moves there.
Absolutely. They've doubled down with that Newaris acquisition.
Wait, they've doubled down?
Yeah, doubled down.
That's a bold move.
It is, but it's all about tapping into Latin America's creative energy,
Yeah.
and that strong nearshore capability.
Nearshore meaning?
Basically locating their operations closer to their main client base, which is
North America.
Right.
So it's not just about
Cost cutting, no.
Yeah, okay.
It's strategic, better collaboration, quicker turnaround, and they can really understand what their clients need.
So they can serve their clients better.
Exactly. Plus, it gives them access to a talent pool that's super adaptable, and a lot of them speak multiple languages.
Yeah, that's huge in today's market.
Totally. And then you've got the 4th hub, Western and Central Asia.
Right, what's a play there?
Data scientists and AI specialists, that's where they're going.
Makes sense. It's like a growing powerhouse for AI.
It really is. EPAM's right there on the front lines of that trend.
So they're really diversifying their talent pool globally.
Yeah, getting the best of the best from each region.
That's smart.
Super smart.
But let's circle back to that Newaris acquisition you mentioned.
Sure.
This is their biggest one yet, right?
Absolutely. And it's not just about like expanding in Latin America. It's about the talent.
What kind of talent?
Newaris has a really strong track record in digital transformation, things like cloud computing and cybersecurity.
Okay, so this acquisition is about more than just
Market share. Yeah.
It seems like they're acquiring very specific expertise to support their growth strategy.
Exactly.
Now, we can't ignore the elephant in the room.
Oh, yeah.
Generative AI.
Right.
It's like every tech company is jumping on that bandwagon right now.
Oh, totally.
But what makes EPAM different?
Well, they're not just dipping their toes in. They're all in.
Okay.
They have this really comprehensive approach, like a 3-pronged approach that shows they get it,
They get what?
They get AI and its potential.
Okay. I'm intrigued.
It's cool. So first, they're using Gen AI to change how they work internally, like streamlining everything and making themselves more efficient.
So like automating tasks and stuff like that.
Yeah, improving how they make decisions. And that lets their talent focus on the more strategic stuff.
So they're leading by example, basically.
Exactly. Using AI to make themselves, better.
All right, that's one prong. What's the second?
Client-focused solutions. That's the second one.
Give me an example.
They're dial and air run systems.
Okay.
These are tools that help their clients use Gen AI for everything from making business processes better to improving the customer experience.
So they're actually putting AI to work for their clients in ways that make a difference.
100%. And then the third prong is
What is it?
partnerships.
Okay.
They're teaming up with other big players in AI.
Makes sense, like that old saying,
If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far.
go together.
Exactly. And it's working. They said 70% of their top 100 clients are already doing stuff with Gen AI.
Wow, 70%.
That's huge. It shows that this isn't just hype. It's becoming a core part of business strategy.
Okay, so we've got these big numbers, but can you give me a real-world example of how this AI strategy is actually playing out?
Absolutely. So EPAM talked about 2 client stories during the call.
Okay, hit me.
One is Rakit. They're like a 200-year-old manufacturing company.
Wow, a 200-year-old company using cutting-edge AI? That's wild.
Right. It's pretty amazing. EPAM is helping them do a full life cycle transformation.
Full life cycle.
The whole thing. Data foundation, governance, platform strategy, and a responsible AI framework.
Wow, that's intense.
Yeah, total overhaul.
So that's like a huge enterprise-level project.
It is, but then there's the second story.
Okay, what's that one?
This one is with the International Monetary Fund. They built a platform called StatGPT.
StatGPT, like ChatGPT, but for the economy.
You got it.
That's insane. What does it do?
Basically, you can ask it questions about global economic data in plain English, and it gives you answers.
No way.
Yeah, it's like having an economist in your pocket.
So is this just like a tech demo, or is it actually useful?
It's being evaluated by some major global institutions right now.
Really?
It could change how we look at and react to economic challenges on a global scale.
Okay, now that's impactful.
Definitely.
So we talked about global talent, strategic acquisitions, and their AI play. What else is contributing to EPAM's strong financial position?
Well, one interesting factor is that Poland has these government incentives for research and development.
And EPAM benefits from that?
Yeah, they have a big presence in Poland, so it's boosting their profits right now.
Interesting. Are there any downsides to that?
Well, it's also causing wages to go up in the Polish tech sector.
So it's like a double-edged sword.
Exactly. EPAM is aware of that, and they're expecting it might affect their margins in 2025.
So they're enjoying the benefits now, but also being realistic about the future.
Exactly. They're thinking long-term, which is good for investors who want sustainable growth.
It shows they're not just chasing quick wins.
Right.
They're playing the long game. Now, let's look at their stock. What's the latest?
As of today, November 8th, their stock is trading at $233.45.
Okay.
It's up 0.23% for the day, and their market cap is $13.29 billion.
Those are some solid numbers.
They are.
But for our listeners who are interested in investing, what does all this mean? Is EPAM worth considering?
All right, well, this is where we get into the this is not financial advice part of the show.
Of course, folks, remember, we're just analysts, not financial advisors.
Always do your own research and talk to a professional before investing.
Absolutely. But with that said, let's have some fun and speculate a bit.
Sure.
What's your take on EPAM as an investment opportunity?
Here's the thing. EPAM is already a leader in software engineering and digital transformation.
Okay.
And now they're making these big moves in Gen AI, which is still a young market with a ton of potential.
So you're saying they have a first mover advantage?
Exactly. And those acquisitions like Newaris are opening up new markets and giving them even more talent.
They're really setting themselves up to be a major player in the AI world.
Totally. And those Polish R&D incentives are giving their profits a little bump right now, which could make them even more appealing to investors.
I'm starting to see why you're bullish on EPAM.
Yeah.
But let's wrap up this part of our deep dive and take a quick break.
Sounds good.
When we come back, we'll dig deeper into their Gen AI strategy and talk about the potential risks and challenges they might face.
Okay.
And maybe even cook up a crazy, outrageous, but plausible trade idea for our listeners to think about.
I like it.
Stick around. We'll be right back. All right. Welcome back to Talk Checkers, everyone. We're continuing our deep dives into EPAM Systems. And let me tell you, this company is making some serious moves.
Yeah, it's really impressive how they're not just surviving, but thriving in this industry.
It's a tough one.
For sure,
Yeah.
Constantly changing.
Before the break, we were talking about EPAM's big push into Gen AI.
Right.
But are they really a leader in this space? Or just following the trend like everyone else?
That's the key question, right? You don't want to get caught up in hype. From what I've seen, their commitment to Gen AI goes way beyond just talking about it.
Okay, so what are they doing differently?
It's that three-pronged approach we talked about.
Right.
Internal transformation, client solutions, and those strategic partnerships.
Right. But a lot of companies talk about that stuff.
Yeah, but EPAM's actually doing it. They're implementing these Gen AI solutions at scale.
So not just theory, but actual applications.
Real world stuff.
Okay.
Like those client examples they shared.
With RIAKIT and the IMF.
Exactly. Those are real world applications, not just proofs of concept.
So they're actually delivering value to clients with this AI stuff.
Big time. And the fact that 70% of their top 100 clients are on board with Gen AI says a lot.
Yeah, it's a huge vote of confidence.
Totally. It shows they're serious about this. It's not just a side project.
So they're really shaping the future of AI, not just riding the wave.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment.
Okay, so let's say I'm an investor who's really interested in this AI play. What should I be watching for in the next few quarters? What are the signs that they're continuing to execute on this strategy?
Well, first, keep an eye on those AI initiatives. Any new client wins, new platforms, or partnerships they announce.
So basically, actions speak louder than words.
Exactly. Especially in tech, you need to see the results.
Okay, what else?
Watch how they handle those acquisitions, especially Newaris.
Right, that's a big one.
Huge. They need to integrate that smoothly for long-term success.
Makes sense.
And then, of course, keep an eye on the overall economic situation.
Right, things are still a bit shaky.
Exactly. Even the best companies can be affected by a downturn.
So we need to see that they're not just chasing growth at any cost, but managing the business strategically.
Right, balancing short-term gains with long-term stability.
Okay, so track their AI progress, watch those acquisitions, and keep an eye on the bigger economic picture.
Exactly.
Got it.
And of course, monitor the adoption of Gen AI in general.
Right. If AI takes off like everyone's predicting.
EPAM is in a great position to benefit.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about their strategy, but what about their financials? You said they had a strong Q3, but can they actually afford all this growth and innovation?
Well, from their latest reports, they seem to be in a really good spot financially.
Okay.
Strong revenue growth, good profitability, and plenty of cash on hand.
So they have the resources to invest in the future.
Yeah, and don't forget those strategic acquisitions.
Right.
They might cause some short-term dilution.
Because
But they're chosen to strengthen their financial performance in the long run.
it's that short-term pain for long-term gain thing.
Exactly. They're investing now to reap the rewards later.
And that makes sense, especially with a company like EPAM that's clearly focused on the future.
Right. They're not just thinking about the next quarter. They're thinking about the next decade.
Okay, so they have a strong financial foundation, which is good news.
It is.
But of course, no investment is without risk.
Right.
What are some of the potential challenges that could trip them up?
Well, for one, their revenue is still pretty concentrated among a few big clients.
Okay.
So if one of those clients cuts back on spending,
It could hurt.
anything else.
Well, they have a lot of operations in Eastern Europe,
Right.
which can be a bit volatile politically.
Yeah, that's always a risk.
And then there's always the risk of some new technology coming along and disrupting everything.
Right. The tech world moves
It's
fast.
super fast. They can't afford to get complacent.
So they need to stay agile and keep innovating.
Exactly.
And of course, there's the risk that they just don't execute well.
Right. Integrating those acquisitions, managing a global team, staying ahead of the tech curve. It's a lot to juggle.
It really is.
If they stumble, it could hurt their growth and scare away investors.
Okay, so those are some of the risks.
Yeah, it's important to be aware of those.
But even with those risks, you're still pretty optimistic about EPM.
I am. Their strengths and opportunities seem to outweigh the weaknesses and threats.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. They have a lot going for them, and I'm excited to see what they do next.
Before we wrap up this part, I want to go back to that outrageous but plausible trade idea you mentioned.
Oh, yeah.
Remember, the one where EPAM's Gen AI growth explodes even faster than expected?
Right, right.
You think that's still possible after everything we've discussed?
Well, I think it's definitely still plausible.
Okay.
They're executing well, they're making smart moves, and the demand for AI solutions is only growing.
But we also have to acknowledge the risks. Right.
Of course, the economy is still uncertain, competition is heating up, and integrating those acquisitions could be tricky.
So it's a gamble, basically.
It is a calculated gamble.
High risk, high reward.
Exactly. Investors need to decide if it's a risk they're willing to take.
And as always, this is not financial advice.
Right. Do your own research, talk to a professional, and make decisions that are right for you.
Now, even though there are risks, I'm still feeling pretty good about EPAM's future.
I understand they have a lot going for them.
Strong track record, clear vision, a great team.
And they're operating in a market that's just going to keep growing.
It's an exciting time to be in the AI space.
For sure.
Okay, before we move on to the final part of our deep dive,
Okay.
I want to talk about something else that really stood out to me. Their focus on talent.
Oh, yeah, they talked about that a lot.
It seems like they're really committed to attracting and developing the best people.
Absolutely. And in this industry, talent is everything.
It's not just about the technology.
Right.
It's about the people who build and use it.
Exactly. And EPM gets that. They're investing heavily in training and development programs.
And they're creating a culture that attracts top talent.
That's key. They're not just trying to hire people, they're trying to build a community.
And it's working. They've assembled this incredible global team of engineers, designers, and data scientists.
It's impressive.
And that's a huge advantage in the AI race.
Absolutely. Having the right people can make all the difference.
Okay, so we've covered the talent aspect.
Yeah.
But before we wrap up this part, I want to make sure we're getting balanced here.
Okay.
We've talked a lot about EPAM's strengths and their potential,
Right.
but no company is perfect, right?
Well, of course not.
So let's talk about some of the risks that investors should be aware of.
Good idea. What do you have in mind?
Well, we already mentioned that their revenue is concentrated among a few clients.
Right. That's definitely a risk.
And they have a lot of operations in a politically volatile region.
True.
Plus, there's always the risk of technological disruption.
That's the nature of the tech industry. Things change fast.
And they can make mistakes, right? integrating acquisitions, managing a global team, keeping up with technology. It's a lot to handle.
Yeah, they need strong leadership and a good plan to avoid missteps.
So even though they have a lot of potential,
Right.
there are some real risks to consider.
Absolutely. Investors need to weigh the risks and rewards carefully.
And remember, this is not financial advice.
Right. Do your own research, talk to a professional, and make your own decisions.
Okay, so we've talked about the risks,
Yeah.
but I'm still feeling optimistic about EPAM.
I get it. They have a lot of positive momentum.
Strong track record, clear vision, talented team.
And they're operating in a market with huge potential.
Yeah, the future of AI is bright.
Definitely.
Okay, everyone, that wraps up part 2 of our deep dive into EPAM Systems.
Great investing.
Join us for the final part, where we'll give our final thoughts on EPAM, answer some more listener questions, and maybe even revisit that outrageous but plausible trade idea.
Sounds good.
Stick around. We'll be right back after a short break.
All right, Talk Tickers listeners, welcome back to the show. We're wrapping up our deep dive into EPAM Systems today.
Yeah, it's been a good one.
Lots to unpack here. They're really firing on all cylinders.
You said it.
Cutting-edge tech, smart acquisitions, amazing talent.
It's a powerful combination.
But before we wrap up completely, I want to get to some listener questions.
Yeah, good idea.
Our listeners always have great insights.
They do.
So we had a few questions about their acquisition strategy.
Okay.
Some folks are wondering if they're growing too fast through acquisitions. Right. It's a valid concern.
Could lead to integration problems down the line.
Yeah, especially with different company cultures and all that.
It's a lot to manage.
For sure.
But they seem to be pretty disciplined about it.
I think so. They're not just buying companies randomly.
They're looking for companies that fit their long-term strategy.
Right. Companies that add value, not just size.
And they're taking their time with the integration process.
Yeah, they're not rushing it.
Which is smart. You don't want to mess that up.
Definitely not.
Another listener asked about EPAM's secret sauce.
Okay.
What makes them stand out?
That's the million-dollar question, right?
It is. What do you think it is?
Well, I think it's a few things.
Okay.
First, their engineering background.
Yeah, they have a strong foundation there.
Super strong. They've been building complex software for a long time.
That gives them an edge when it comes to AI.
For sure. They know how to build real-world applications, not just theories.
Right. They can actually make this stuff work.
Exactly.
Second, their global talent pool.
Yeah, we talked about that, but it's worth repeating.
It's a huge advantage.
They have access to some of best minds in the world.
Not just in one location, but everywhere.
It gives them a cost advantage, but also a diversity of thought.
Right. Different perspectives, different skills.
Which is crucial for innovation.
Absolutely.
And then there's their client focus.
Yeah.
They really prioritize building relationships with their clients.
They want to understand their needs, their challenges.
Exactly. They're not just selling a product, they're solving problems.
They're tailoring solutions to fit each client.
That's what sets them apart, I think.
It's not a one-size-fits-all approach.
Right. It's very personalized.
And lastly, their commitment to innovation.
Yeah, they're always pushing the boundaries.
Always exploring new ideas, new technologies.
That's how you stay ahead in this industry.
You can't get comfortable.
Got to keep moving, keep innovating.
So there you have it. EPM's secret sauce.
Engineering, global talent, client focus, and innovation.
It's a winning recipe.
I'd say so.
Now, one more question from a listener.
Okay.
This one's a bit tougher.
What is it?
What's the biggest risk to EPAM's long-term success?
Ooh, that's a good one.
It makes you think beyond the hype and the excitement.
Yeah, what could actually derail them?
Well, I think the biggest risk is complacency.
Interesting. How so?
They're doing great right now. Everything's going their way.
Right.
But it's easy to get comfortable when you're on top.
You can lose that hunger, that drive.
Exactly. They need to stay focused, stay humble.
And keep pushing themselves.
The competition never sleeps.
No, they can't afford to let up.
They need to keep innovating, keep improving.
They stay ahead of the game.
All right, so complacency is the big risk.
Yeah, it's something to watch out for.
Now, before we go, I want to circle back to that outrageous but plausible trade idea we talked about.
Oh, yeah, the Gen AI explosion.
Do you still think it's possible?
I do, but it's not a sure thing.
We talked about the risks.
Right, the economy, the competition, integration challenges.
It's a high-risk, high-reward scenario.
Exactly. Not for the faint of heart.
Investors need to be aware of the potential downsides.
And make sure they're comfortable with that level of risk.
And remember, this is not financial advice.
Right. Always do your own research and talk to a professional.
All right, everyone, that brings us to the end of our deep dive into EPAM Systems.
It's been a great discussion.
We covered a lot of ground, their financials, their strategy, their AI play, the risks, the opportunities.
It's a fascinating company.
They're definitely one to watch.
I agree.
Thanks for joining us on Talk Tickers.
Always a pleasure.
We'll be back soon with more earnings call breakdowns and market insights.
Until then, happy investing, everyone.